Let us reflect for a moment on the birth of our nation in 1776. I believe that the Declaration of Independence remains the most important document of our modern era. Although it was a secular document, it was leavened with spiritual undertones, which evoked a prayerful yearning to establish a land committed to the principles upon which one nation could be built under God. Thus, thank you. Thus, it carried a profound spiritual authority and became the basis, I believe, of a new covenant with God. That covenant was rooted in the biblical promise of Israel, as referenced in the book of Isaiah. True to that prophecy, America invited all of God's children to come and worship Him according to the dictates of their conscience. Although predominantly a Christian nation, America was the first nation on earth committed to universal spiritual values. It was the first nation on earth to champion religious freedom and human rights, regardless of denomination, faith, nationality, ethnicity, and even race. America became the pluralistic melting pot, representing how the world could live together in harmony under a national vision rooted in the sovereignty of God. Of course, there have been times when America has not fully lived up to its founding ideals. But at its best, America represents the hopes and the aspirations of all God-affirming people around the world. The power of this vision goes all the way back to the beginning of human history. Just as we have big aspirations and hopes for our children, so too did God have great expectations for humanity. God wanted His children to create a true family, which could be the school of true love, true life, and true lineage. It would have been God's family where He would dwell as a true parent of all mankind. Yet, this dream was not realized, and therefore God had waited patiently throughout human history, often in agony and lamentation, for someone to come and realize His dream. 2,000 years ago, a young carpenter's son by the name of Jesus Christ went beyond the traditions of his own people, referring to God as His Father and humanity as His brothers and sisters. Jesus taught a selfless, compassionate love, the need for individual spiritual responsibility, the promise of universal salvation, and the need to create the family of God. Tragically, Jesus' life was cut short, and the new wine that He was to bring was poured into less than new wine skins. Yet His legacy and His message lived on to the foundation of worldwide Christianity. It wasn't until the modern era, with the founding of the United States, that the true Christian spirit took root. Instead of espousing any one faith, denomination, Americans have enjoyed the freedom to follow their conscience with the hope of creating a nation united under a sovereign God. This became the basis of the American dream in building one nation under God. The dream to build one family under God did not end with Jesus. It remained latent within the Christian message, waiting for someone to rekindle Jesus' universal and global mission to bring peace upon this earth. My father, the Reverend Dr. Sun Myung Moon, has devoted his entire life to the fulfillment of that mission. Thank you very much. He uprooted his family and invested 34 years of his life to awaken America to its providential calling. To my father, the dream of building one family under God is not the dream of just one man, one woman, or one family. It is a dream for all humanity, but most of all, it is the dream of God. This is the starting point to realize the dream of creating one family under God, one family at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, last month at the Global Peace Festival in Paraguay, more than 10,000 high school and college students spent several weeks cleaning parks in the capital city of Asunción. Senators, congressmen, priests, and community leaders were astonished, saying this level of public service had never been part of their culture, especially among the young. I am pleased to tell you that here in Washington, D.C., the Global Peace Festival has been inspiring and spearheading a remarkable service effort. Over the past few weeks, schools have been cleaned and painted. Children have been mentored and parks and playgrounds made safe. We've received generous donations of food, enough to feed over 1,000 families. Thank you very much. To all of you who participated in these acts of service and kindness, and in particular to the Points of Light Institute, the Boys and Girls Clubs, Service for Peace, and other organizations who pulled it together, I want to say a heartfelt thank you. There is something deeply spiritual in serving others. It is not something that we should do only for one day, a month, or even a year. It has to become a way of life. When living for the sake of others becomes a habit, we come to see the true value of God and the value that God places upon our humanity. Building upon America's great tradition of volunteerism, I'd like to see our nation's faith-based and community partners joining with those of other countries to establish a global Peace Corps that will be more than just an American effort, but the effort of the world.